Hello, it's Tanya, Raymond Talk with Tanya. We are at topic number 25, and the title of this video is spiritual gifts. So we are all given a measure of spiritual gifts, and some of us may not know what they are. Some of us do know what they are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain a little bit about each one of them so that it may help you to understand your gifting a little bit better, or it may help you to know what your spiritual gift is. And once you know what it is, begin to ask God, how you are to cultivate that gift and how you are to move more effectively in your spiritual gift. So we're going to start off by referencing 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 4 through verse 11. So here we go. There are diversities of gifts, but the same Spirit. There are differences of ministries, but the same Lord. And there are diversities of activities, but it is the same God who works all in all. But the manifestation of the Spirit is given to each one for the profit of all. For to one is given a word of wisdom through the Spirit, to another the word of knowledge through the same Spirit, to another faith by the same Spirit, to another gifts of healing by the same Spirit, to another the workings of miracles, to another prophecy, to another discerning of spirits, to another different kinds of tongues, to another the interpretation of tongues. But one and the same Spirit works all these things, distributing to each one individually as He wills. So we have there a list of spiritual gifts. So right now what I'm going to do is just do a little breakdown of each one of them, and that way you may be able to identify where you fall into that category. But also the word also says, above all, pray that you prophesy. Okay, because prophecy is not just foretelling, it's also being able to speak on God's behalf. So gift of prophecy. And having a gift of prophecy does not mean you are walking or you hold the office of a prophet. That does not mean that. Holding the office of a prophet is different from having a gift of prophecy. We all should wish that we prophesy according to what the Word of God says. So, the word of wisdom. The word of wisdom. Let's start off with that one. So, word of wisdom is it's more than just having the ability to give sound advice. In a situation, it's also the ability to know, or the ability to make the right decisions business wise and everything, knowing exactly let's say when to pull stocks out of like the stock market. It's more than just sound advice. It's on a whole nother scale. So the word of wisdom, will when you have that gift, it's like beyond the now, knowing like what's gonna happen with like different businesses and things like that, and how to make like contracts, how to know which contract to sign, or what's gonna happen for further up down the road. It's just knowing. It's at a whole nother level with the gift of wisdom. you know um but people who operate in the gift of wisdom, they are the absolute most, they business minded, successful, just knowing how to handle business, run business. Just, it's on a whole nother level. Okay. um Word of knowledge, the ability to know things that only God would know. For instance, I'll share with you. Well, I have another video that I did a while ago about now this is not my dominant gift, the word of knowledge. The word of knowledge is like when how they say, you basically can read somebody's mail, tell them exactly what they're dealing with, exactly what they're going through, but only things, you can tell people stuff that only God would know. You can tell people stuff that they've never told anybody else. That's like the word of knowledge. Now, and just the ability to know stuff that has not been revealed to you. Um, for instance, I'll give an example. I have a son. He's 14 years old now. When he was about maybe 6 years old, um, two instances. One, we were in a parking lot, Walmart. A lady pulled up on side of us. She didn't get out of her car at all. He said, Mama, her stomach is big. She has a big stomach. She never, all we can see is the top part of her body and the steering wheel. That's it. So I'm like, okay, what you talking, like, sometimes we blow kids off. This woman gets out of her car. She's like 9 months pregnant. How in the world, like, that's just an example of God revealing things to us that we would not know on our own. That's gift of knowledge, a word of knowledge. Another instance, he may have been the same son. He may have been around the same age, maybe 7. And I was praying. I was like interceding, I wouldn't even say it was an intercession. I was just praying, but I was at a point in my life where I was distraught, seriously. And I was going through so much, and I just couldn't see beyond. I was just at a very low point. And I was praying. I know I was loud. I'm sometimes always loud in the house when I'm praying with my kids. Know they used to it. I opened the door when I was done praying. I opened the bedroom door, and he was standing right there. And I said, "What you doing?" I know what you were saying, Mama. I say, his name is Javon. I say, Javon, you don't know what I was saying, because I don't even know what I'm saying, And he said, I know what you were saying. You were saying a cry for help. You were saying a cry for help, Mama. And I was like, what? And my spirit, like what I was dealing with at that moment, I really was crying out to God for help. But I was praying. I never said the words like, Lord, I need help. I was just praying in the spirit, like in my prayer language the whole time. But that's what I was really praying. Like, that's what my heart and my spirit was when I was praying. That's what it was. But for him to stand on the outside of that door and listen to me, I opened the door and he's standing right there, and he said, Mama, you said a cry for help. I said, okay, all right, Lord, I hear you, because I always ask God to reveal to me the gifts that my children have. I always ask God to reveal to me, what their ministries are, what their callings are. I've always prayed that about each and every one of my children. So he's been revealing to me, for a while now, even with my twins. My twin girls are 3 years old, and he when they were, I think I was living in Los Angeles at the time. They weren't even home from the NICU long. They may have only been home maybe like a month or 2 months from the NICU, and God showed me them in the future and what they were going to be doing. And I was like, oh my God, so I just have to say that I'm just so excited because God is revealing to me what's in my children, and I love it because I can cultivate it and I can help them, be stronger in those specific areas. I love it. Okay, so that's a word of knowledge. I shared back to what I was gonna say originally. I shared a video once before about I was in the bed, and it was early morning, like 5, 6 in the morning, and I heard an address in my mind. I'm like, I really heard a physical address, and I'm like, Lord, what am I supposed to do with this address? Like, I don't know, this house empty. I don't know if somebody live there. Like, what is it? So I was led to go. I was led to go to the address, and my husband, at first, he was not like wanting me to go because it was a strange address or whatever. And he's a protector, so he's who wasn't okay with it, but the spirit gave him a peace about it. So I went to this address. This was like 6 in the morning, and there was people outside arguing. Like, it was like a serious, I can't say they were arguing. It was more like they was having a heated discussion. So I just, and long story short, I basically was just led to just be in the vicinity of that area and just pray in the spirit. Um, that's pray in the spirit. And it was one person that stood out to me amongst the three people that were outside having a heated discussion. It was one person that stuck out to me, and every once in a while, when I can see her face again, I'll pray for her again or intercede, whatever. But word of knowledge, people because sometimes hear birth dates, names. For instance, if your name out there is Carol Jones, if you know a Carol Jones, I was on the on the way to work Thursday last week, and I kept hearing Carol Jones. Carol, I'm like, okay, I don't know nobody named Carol Jones, but anyway, I've been praying for Carol Jones. But that's not my dominant, that's not my dominant gift. That's not a gifting that I operate in all the time. That's just kind of been like hit and miss or whatever. But God will use you in certain gifts according to the need at the time, of where you are. So it's a word of knowledge is basically knowing stuff about somebody that that they don't tell anybody, that only they know themselves, and you're able to tell them something that they've never told anybody. That's the word of knowledge. Gift of faith. The ability to basically easily believing what is impossible to the human eye. My husband has the gift. I don't know if he know how strong he walk in it, but my husband has the gift of faith. The gift of faith is not just, believe in God or whatever. It's actually like in your mind, like you really like in your mind, you see something to be possible that's totally impossible to the average person, or in your natural mind and your natural eye is like totally impossible, but you're able to, it's like you just convinced that it's possible. Nobody can tell you no different, because it's like that and there's nothing nobody can say or show you, or they can actually show you evidence on paper or whatever that is in your mind. You like, that ain't what the word say. I mean, that's my husband all day, every day. That man walks in the gift of faith, hands down, and I'm grateful for that. Sometimes like, babe, but you come on, look, that's my husband. So gift of faith is having the ability to believe what the natural mind, natural eye cannot perceive to be possible. Just knowing that it is possible and standing on it, and not wavering. Just no matter how strong the wind come, you're not wavering in what you know. That's the gift of faith. The gift of healing, I like that because even though that's not one of the gifts that I operate in, it's more than just being able to pray for somebody and seeing an instant manifestation of healing of the physical body. It's not just that. It's also healing emotionally. Now, a lot of people don't realize is that healing emotionally, more people walk in that and don't realize it. For instance, comedians have the ability, the natural ability to just make you laugh. Like the way they talk, the way they just say, and it's like you just see them and you crack up. But laughter is good for the soul. Joy is good for the soul. That's what God, that's what the word says. And people just have the ability to just bring laughter and joy, just being in their presence. That's like a gift of healing, because healing is good. Laughter is good, for the soul. So it's not just physical. When you're praying for somebody and you see manifestations of healings in their body instantly, it's emotional healing, because people are emotionally torn and broken as well, and they need that emotional healing too. But some people, they come around, you just be laughing all day, you just be happy when you see them. Or you can, like, I have an aunt, I call her because I know, sometimes I call her on purpose because I know when I get on the phone with her, I'm gonna be laughing. I know it. My husband know it. So yeah, I have an aunt. I call her because I know she's gonna crack me up all day, every day. She gonna say something that's gonna make me laugh. Even thinking about her, it makes, she makes me laugh. Another example, my twins. I have identical twin girls. They're 3 years old now, and no matter where they go, no matter where we go, they bring so much joy to people. So many strangers, when they see them, they smile and they just they turn, and it's like, I can't describe it. Like my twins, they bring joy, to a lot of people. I mean, they look at them, they just smile and laugh, and it's like they kind of, people just kind of forget about what they were talking about, what they were dealing, what they were going through, and the girls just have an ability to just bring people in and just draw them in. I don't know how, but that is also a gift of healing. So that's another thing that my that I see, in my children, even with the twins. And I mentioned earlier that God showed me what they were going to be doing. It didn't even really have anything to do with healing. So that's something totally different that God showed me. So there's just another aspect, of what they're going to be doing. But yeah, so healing is not just a physical; it's also being able to heal emotional. Comedians, some of them have you laughing and rolling all day long, hurting your stomach and your side laughing, and it's just a natural ability. They just have the natural ability to just make you laugh, and but laughter is good for the soul. So yeah, that's also a gift of healing. They operate in the gift of healing. Working of miracles, the ability to pray, and people get out of wheelchairs and just start walking, and man, limbs growing back. I've seen and heard, not seen, but I've heard a lot of testimonies of miracles. A close friend of ours, our mentor, he actually prayed for somebody, and this woman, he didn't know this woman was in a car accident. He prayed for somebody, and in the spirit, he saw her spinal cord lining up the way it needed to be. Didn't even know the one was in a car accident, like a few days, a week or so before he ended up praying for her. Just miracles, 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 miracles. Things that the doctors basically just throw their hands up like it's all we can do. People that operate in the working of miracles, or have the ability or the spiritual gift to turn things around. The gift of prophecy is more than just being able to see, something before it happens, but it's also being able to speak on God's behalf. God speaks, through them, to them and through them. A person that operates in the gift of prophecy usually has a very strong prayer life, a very solid prayer life, because you have to be in a place to hear in order to speak on his behalf. So there's a lot of relationship there between God and and people who have the gift of prophecy. But like I said, it's more than just foretelling. It's actually being a mouthpiece for God. And I have that's one of my my dominant gifts, being able to see stuff before it happens. Man, sometimes it's scary, and it's another video we're gonna do. It's gonna be called Seers. Sometimes it's scary, and I'm just gonna be encouraging seers in that video. But we'll talk a little about that another time. So discerning of spirits, being able to know the spirit of error from the spirit of truth, being able to know what spirit somebody is operating in, what spirit they're dealing with. That's one of my dominant gifts as well. Just knowing, just being around somebody. Oh, sometimes, I thank God for my gifts, but sometimes I pray like, Lord, can I just shut it off? Because sometimes I be picking up and reading stuff about people that I don't really want to know, I don't want to know all that stuff. Be like, Lord, I don't want to know all this. Like, I don't care to know about it, and then sometimes, I could be sitting next to somebody, and I know that they have I could feel, like, just what they're dealing with, what they're going through, what spirit is on them. I can identify what spirit, is on them. The spirit of error from the spirit of truth. Instantly, when somebody starts talking, I can know if they lying. I pray. I tell you, I have not prayed for these gifts. The word we just read, the word, God distributes the gifts as He wills. So just knowing if somebody lying or not. I've always, just been able to just do that. And I thank God for it. I thank God for it. It saved me a lot. And knowing the root of, a spirit, and not just knowing the spirit they operate in, but knowing the root cause and the root issue of why that person is dealing with that, or knowing the root of why the situation is like this, or why they're walking in that, and being able to know if that's just what they deal with on a daily, like if that's something that they deal with on a daily basis, or if they just having a bad day. Just knowing to be able to discern that, going deeper, like, okay, even though God's revealing to me that they operate in this spirit, not only operate in this spirit, that this is just what they're operating in today. This is not their norm. They don't operate in this all the time. It's just today. And then going deeper and knowing that, okay, they are operating in this, or this is what the spirit that's on them, because God is trying to do this in their life, and they're, rejecting that. I mean, it's deeper. I mean, discernment is not just scratching the surface. It goes deep into the root of some things. Also, we have different kind of tongues. Sometimes when you are, this is a tongue that needs an interpretation. So you are, let's say you're in a prayer service, and everybody's praying the Holy Spirit, praying their prayer language, and then somebody's tongue language rises above everybody else's, and it speaks something specific. What God is saying. That tongue needs an interpretation. And so then we have other people that have the gift of interpretation. Some people have both and are able to interpret after they have said, released a word from heaven. So I can remember I might have been about 13 years old, something like that. I was in, and this is not a dominant gift. This may only happen maybe like once, that I can recall, maybe once. So it's not like something that I operated in, fluently. So I remember I was praying, it was just a prayer service, and then I got so loud. It's like my tongue elevated, and as I was speaking, everybody hushed. Like the spirit of God in that place rested, and everybody, like it was a calming and a hush over the whole service. But I was speaking something. I didn't know what it was, but after I spoke it, immediately an interpretation came, and I was saying, I think it was like, glory to the Lamb of God or something like that. I would just remember it. That was maybe like 13, something like that. So yeah, so you have people that have different kind of tongues. Then you have some people that have the gifting of interpretation of tongues. People that may not have the different kind of tongues, but they're able to interpret what that message was. So yeah, those are two other gifts. So what I want you to remember is that some gifts, like I've been sharing, may be more dominant than the others. Some gifts just manifest when the need arises. So be encouraged. Just begin to study on the different gifts of the Spirit. Begin to study and see where where you kind of fit in, and ask God to help you develop and cultivate those gifts. Advice from a mother to other parents out there: ask God to reveal to you what gifts your children have, so that you can help identify those and help them recognize what's inside of them and help cultivate that, because you never know what you have in your house. So we can't neglect what's in our children as well. And the Holy Spirit will help us to discern when we need to listen to our children, because sometimes we have to listen to them too. He'll guide us and all that. So that's the video on spiritual gifts.